thanks for joining us again on this series of topics. I'm your host, Valencia, and we all are familiar with my co-host, Megan. And we have a special guest filling in for Ruby today, Mr. Ricardo. Thank you for joining us today.
No problem. Thanks for having me.
This guy is a wonderful talent on the hit series Torture. So tell us a little bit about yourself, Mr. Ricardo.
I would, like Valencia mentioned, I'm in the series Torture, TV series Torture. Doing big things right now. I play the character Snook. Character basically trying to get itself back together after like a long life of like crime and stuff. So it's a character that I feel like a lot of people will be able to relate to, get a lot of like maybe inspiration and encouragement from him, that character. But yeah, man, TV series Torture, check us out.
Yeah, definitely.
Definitely
Check out Torture. So let's get started today. Today we're talking about child support. So, for it or against it?
It's a funny question. Am I for it or against it? That's like a 50-50. Like, I'm for it because it's like, definitely you want to be able to. It's not a situation with the mother and the father is not guaranteed to work out. That's not always 100% guaranteed. We all know that. But the mom definitely, or the dad, whoever's getting the child support, definitely needs assistance from the other person. If they're not in that person's life in a relationship.
Mm-hmm.
But then I would be against it because you got a lot of. I've seen it being taken advantage of a lot.
Mm-hmm. Talk about that.
Being taken advantage of? Well, I can't speak from it personally.
Uh-huh.
I've never been on child support. Like, I've never paid any child support money. Thankfully, my situation has never came to that. But as far as people taking advantage of it, not taking the money and spending on the kids, and that's basically it. Just taking the money and spending on something that really is not for the kids when it's child support. Like, it's for the kids, for support the child. It's like supporting my life. You know what I'm saying?
I don't know if I can actually answer the question, am I for or against? Because I guess the answer is I'm for child support. But I think that it doesn't have to be the number one option. Mm-hmm. Like, I feel like sometimes people immediately, when they get pregnant and after they have the baby, they automatically put them in on child support. And I had a great dad who would never need to ever be on any sort of child support because he always took care of us. Mm-hmm. So some people have to be forced to take care of their children.
But
as far as abuse, I think that is a little overrated. Like, if you are a celebrity and you're dealing with someone with a lot of money and your child support is $20,000 a month, which I don't know, because based on your lifestyle maybe that's not a lot, but for us that sounds like a lot, and maybe it could be abuse. But if you're only getting like $400, which is like the average child support amount a month, it's really a drop in the bucket for what you're really putting in on your child on a daily basis, just feeding and gas.
How do you figure out how much money it takes to really take care of a child? I feel like that dynamic. I feel like that you can't really put a number on.
It's always a question that I ask, like, how can you determine that this is what that particular child needs versus this particular child? Or that's a good question.
So the system breaks it down with food, clothes, and housing. Mm-hmm. Do you think that the system has essentially created a weapon for child support for the woman to use? And I'm talking about I'm talking about a specific type of woman. I'm talking about a specific type of relationship. You've never been involved in that, and you've never been involved in it. But there are some people who have bad breakups, children's involved, bitterness is still there, tension is high, and the man has cut themselves off. Blocked her,
Mhm.
don't know where I live,
Mhm.
leave me alone.
Mhm.
I get my child from school, my mom will pick up the child, I don't want to, and the woman still has some things she's got on her chest, but she can't get them off.
Mhm.
I'm talking about that kind of woman that just goes to the system. I'm taking you downtown. And we're talking about a good father, a father who's there, present, but they just didn't work out.
Mhm.
Do you think that the system should be held responsible for that dynamic that they're having?
I mean, not necessarily responsible, because I mean the system just wasn't the necessarily cause of whatever issues that they had between them, but it can definitely be used as a weapon, and by that type of person that you speaking of, because like I said, I've definitely seen that happen before. Like, instead of, I want to do this because it's the best thing for the child, it's more like, I want to get you. I hit you where it hurt. I can't get you no other way. You know what I'm saying? It's like, dang, this dude takes great care of, like, in addition to the child support that he's paying, he's also doing, what he's supposed to do as a father, spending as much time as he can with the child, and things that's necessary for the child to get. It's like the child support is just like, oh, it's like another bill. You know what I mean? Like, I gotta pay the bill. But the mom is just like you said, using it as a weapon. Like, I know I can get you. And this is like, man, it's a sad thing when it's like that.
I mean, yeah, I think most of the time, in the experience that I've seen and been a part of, usually if women are using their child as a weapon against the man, in a form of child support, that could be one way, but there's multiple ways. Mm-hmm. And it's usually like, you're not going to see your child, or if you can see him if, or you can see her if. As far as child support, I receive child support. And as small as the amount that I have 3 children with my ex-husband, as everyone knows that's been following the show, I mean, if you're a great dad, that child support is so little for the amount of money that you really spend on your child on a regular basis. Like, I know dads that pay child support and still pay phone bills for their kids, still pay activities for their kids, still doing everything for their children. So if that's all you're doing, child support, I don't know how much of a weapon it really is.
So you mentioned, Megan, and I have to ask, because you mentioned that you receive child support.
Definitely do.
I hear you. But everybody's been watching the show, and you have put the energy and the air out there that it seems like your divorce or your separation was amicable. Like, you two agreed, and you two were on the same page as far as, okay, this isn't working. So how did you go about getting to child support?
That I might have, it might have been alluded like it was an amicable situation, but it was tough, and I would never say anything disparaging about my ex-husband because I have kids.
Absolutely.
And I just don't do that.
Yeah.
But that was never an option for me. Like me being divorced, I looked at women and single mothers and people in my situation totally different. Being married, the same way I would look at a woman like, oh, that's messed up. She took somebody on child support. But then on the other side, where you're like, yo, I need this is my only option.
Yeah,
I don't really want
true.
to do that. And I was usually of the opinion like you shouldn't take the black man to the judge, like let him, because I came from that background of a great father. So I never saw that. But if you're in that position where you need those funds and you need that assistance, then you just really have to do what you need to do to take care of your children.
I think it works for some people. I mean, he's cooperative and he cooperated, but there are some men that actually says, okay, taking the child support, I ain't paying, and you still ain't getting nothing.
Well, I mean, if you don't pay, you go to jail. So it's like, even if you really don't, they trust me. It's plenty of men that don't want to pay, but they want their freedom, or they want their driver's license, or they want their taxes. So it's still forcing someone to. It's like I said, it's so small because like I buy my kid some Jordans and the little one some pull-ups and my daughter the LOL dolls, and my child support is gone. It's not like you're balling out on child support.
That's very true.
Really.
Right. It was like we talked about earlier.
Very true.
It's child support is for the housing, food, and clothing.
Right.
And who's taking care of all the extras that a child may need, like you said, that, extracurricular activities, the sports, the field trips that these schools go on that I think is ridiculous.
The child support helps with the side stuff. It does not take care of a child. And most people I know that receive child support, the child support is so you can put your kids in soccer. The child support is so that you can have a babysitter, so that you can do the things that you love. That's what the child support is for. It's not, I don't know anyone personally that's balling out on child support. Now maybe there's a certain type of woman that is receiving child support and a social security check, and that's her. That's what she's finessing. That's her lifestyle at this point.
Well,
that's what I was going to say. The funny thing about that was like, it's sometimes, or is it the law that in order to receive those services that the dad got to be on child support? Anyway,
it is.
Right?
It's true.
So like,
so if
even if the mama don't want to put him on child support, it's like, I need help elsewhere. I put him on child support, and he can't live in a house.
But see,
and there's so many stories of women that put their man that they're actually with on child support because their man can't afford to take care of them,
right,
and then give the child support back.
Right.
Like you hear stories all the time.
That's real.
He's on child support on paper, and I'm giving that money right back to him because we got to do what we got to do for our family.
Right.
So I mean, it's multiple situations. I think that it's a small percentage of women who are like, I'm putting, because really, if you got a deadbeat dad like that, he's probably not even making that much money like that, so your child support is probably really small.
Which takes us back to the original intent of this conversation. Is the system created to keep the man down? Because if you're saying that it's very minimal what they project that he's to pay, and it only helps with the little extra things outside of clothing and food and that sort of thing. And then you've made a valid point that they are forcing you, if you're going to get assistance, the system in turn say, oh, you want food stamps, you want help from us, you want food from us, you want cash, you have to put him on child support. So it brings us to the original intent of the conversation. Is the system created to keep the man down?
I don't think so, because to me, I'm not going to use the word real man, but if the sons that I'm raising, even if you're not with that woman, that woman is in a place of her life where she needs cash assistance, you're in a low place. And the man, regardless, even if he doesn't mess with the woman, because his child is in that household, should, in my opinion, make sure that the household is good. And it shouldn't have to go down to child support. If he doesn't want to make sure the household is good, then he should take his child and decide if he wants to do the single fatherhood journey. But to me, you shouldn't even be, if you have a baby with someone and you're in a low point and you're raising that child, that man should be there to support. It shouldn't really be a place where you're on assistance.
I'm so old school.
I mean, I agree, but it's like that's in a perfect world. You know what I mean? Like that people's thoughts and people, the way they carry it is most of the time it's not like that. It's
but
like,
what happened to the days? What happened to the old days where the man says, "Oh, she's pregnant. Oh, we gotta get married." And they stay together till the child is grown, and then mom, dad,
It's just generations.
What happened to the where we are today is like, okay, I gotta stay with her, or else I'm gonna go on child support.
It's like, I feel like it's like just decades of this thing that's designed to create that separation between definitely the black man and the black woman to break up that strong
Talk
foundation.
about that.
Well, I mean, I know personally from working with children. Like I work in high school, and just seeing, I always use the word unbalanced. You know what I mean? They're unbalanced. Like I've always been in my kids' life. Like I have 3 children, and since day one, I've been there. And you know, me and that mom are married now, and we've been married for 8 years in July. So thank you. You know, we've been together since 2003.
That's
so
great.
like, yeah, it's a whole journey. But you know, I see the differences in how my children react to just my wife, and how my children react to just me, and the combination of both, and the difference that makes, and then seeing kids that I work with, and seeing like, okay, like I can tell the kids that come from a mom and dad home.
Right.
Like I can tell, like it's bad, but I can
You
tell,
can.
like that kid, you know, I meet them and it's like, oh, hey, you doing a great job, mom, dad. And then you can tell the ones, you know, you can tell the little boys that their moms is, I'm not saying it's all single mom, and it's all not every boy, but you know, they quick to talk back. They got a lot of mouth. They, you know, and they're used to, because I love my wife to death, but my kids they know that it's a little more with mom. Like mom when she goes, she gonna go. But she'll you know, she'll let you. Me, it's like,
Right.
you know, and they know that, and it's like kids know that, and they play that. So I feel like when in some situations, because it's not all, because you know, I've seen some children that just raised with just their mom and just raised with their dad, and you wouldn't be able to tell that it was a single family home. But you know, majority of the time, unfortunately, you know, it's not like that.
Right.
And you know, they're unbalanced. I really feel like they are, a lot of times it's just unbalanced.
Well, I think this conversation is just, I just love this topic, and we'll be back.
Life's hard enough. COVID, jobs, stress. It's time to get away from the hassle.
You always make plans on my time.
It's my back.
Oh, yeah. Your back, your neck, your knees. It's always something when it comes to me. Oh, snap.
Oh, you like this? Have a check. Life is so much better when your tongues are happy.
I love you.
I love you too.
Middlesworth.
We're back. So we're going to continue this discussion about child support. I had a question. Well, there was a few questions while you were talking. Well, both of you were talking that I was thinking about. And the one question is, do you think child support actually puts a wedge in between the missing parent and the child?
It could, if the other parent is angry that they have to pay child support, or feel like, you know, they have been doing for their child, or taking care of their child. Because you hear these men who like keep receipts of everything that they purchase and things like that. So they're like, I've done my due diligence, and then she still puts me on child support. So I think it could create a wedge. It's like the maturity level of the man.
Definitely.
Because sometimes it's difficult for some men to separate the woman from the child, and that
And vice
the
versa.
relationship. Yeah, and I think it's in general.
Yeah, in general.
You know,
Yeah,
because
definitely.
at the same in the same token, sometimes I feel like it's how the child was created. Like if this was like a mission,
Right.
like did you have this baby because you guys were in love,
Right,
or
right,
you had a goal?
Right,
Like,
exactly.
I want to keep this person in my life. But I definitely think it could create a wedge. And I've heard some people say, "I'll just pay my child support and not have nothing
That's
to do with
what
it."
I was about to say. That's exactly what I was going to say.
Like good.
How do you
Now I'm
feel
done.
about
How do we feel
That's
about that?
terrible, you know, because that's not fair. That's not right. Like, you know, give it. Oh well, I gotta pay $500 a month in child support. That's it. You know, I don't have nothing to do with my kid. Like, you still leaving your kid out there. You know, it's just like you just abandon them. Still, you know, you giving your money. It's monetary, but that's half the fight. Like, you know what I mean? That's a lot of raising a kid. Don't get me wrong, monetary, you definitely have to have your money right, but time is definitely so valuable. Like
Sometimes the dynamic of the relationship between the man and woman can just be so much and so overwhelming. A man has to literally separate himself because he does have a hard time separating. You know, you have to talk to her. I have to talk to her. I can't stand this woman. I have to talk to her to get my child, and I gotta do this. You know what I mean?
You get somebody that can go between. It's ways around that.
There's more than one way to skin a cat.
Yeah,
but how many of us can contest that? Really, the black man doesn't go that far when it comes to like figuring out how to do this.
Depends on the black man. You know, if that man loves his children and you know he wants to be. I'm gonna use myself for example. Like if that was the case and just everything was how it is, except my wife and I weren't together and we couldn't get along, I would go through, you know, hoops, whatever, to make sure that I'm able to see my kids. You know, if I gotta get joint custody and I gotta have a certain time and I gotta have you meet me here at this Chick-fil-A and we meet here and grab the kids and I go about my business and you know, I'm not gonna let, you know, beef with the mother or, you know, I can't get along stop me from being in my kid's life. Like,
Yeah.
And if you do, then, you know, that shows what kind of man you are in the beginning.
Yeah.
Maybe they don't need you in their life.
I agree. I didn't put child support on my children's father. And they weren't present in their lives. My daughter's father was. He was present in her life until he passed away. Rest his soul. My son's father, however, didn't show up until my son was 7 years of age, just out of nowhere. Like, hey, I want to see him. But he told me to put child support on him. And he said, take me to child support. And then when I did that, he was absent. So I bring up that because it's not because he didn't love his son. It's just he didn't know how to balance his wife and 3 kids with me and a son. He didn't know how to merge it, and he didn't have much help himself because he himself didn't have a present father. So I never looked at him as you must not love him. And I always told my son, we can't fault him for not being present. We just have to wait until he can come to that maturity level or come to that place in his mind where he knows how, like he knows. And ultimately, it was the divorce of his wife that brought him to, okay, now I can do
I'm
this.
gonna just tell you like this, hearing you say that, like you're a beautiful person, like inside, because that is rare. Like for you to even entertain that, you know what I mean? Oh, you can't juggle your wife and kids with your own kid, you know? You did tell me to put you on child support, but you know, so many women, black, white, whatever, would be like, what? They wouldn't even accept that, like, you know, and you still told your son that your dad loves you and you should love him, you know, in spite of that. Like that's something that he can't really help, and it's a situation out of our control, but still love him. You know, people will be preaching in his ear.
Well, I saw it like this. I need a roof over my head, and my son's with me, so he has a roof over his head. Before I put food in my mouth, he'll have food in his mouth. I gotta work to take care of myself, so I'm gonna work and take care of him. In my opinion, it's his loss because I get this beautiful bundle of joy and I get to watch him grow up. It's his loss. Their relationship is between them, and I kept myself out of it. So now that he's grown and his dad's in his life, they have a relationship. But I tell you something, my son told his father, you cannot be my father because you were not there, but we can be friends.
That's real.
And
that's mature.
I loved that he could be honest with his dad like that. You know, I love that because for me, it showed that he took the words that I was saying growing up. It's not you, it's him. This has nothing, and it has nothing to do with me and him. You know, that's none of your business. It's not you, it's him. So all that pouring and pouring I did as he was a child and providing for him, and I think I had a support system. I had a really strong support
That's
system,
important.
and you should have that.
That's
And for women who don't have that, yeah, absolutely, child support is the way to go. But like Megan said, not getting that much,
Right.
so I don't know. But
That's
what do you think about the co-parenting and child support, and if the man is,
Going back what you guys said before the break, as far as like the breakdown of the black family, I think a lot of this has to do with that. Because at up to the 1970s, 70% of black children were born in a two-parent household in wedlock. And then when the welfare system kind of broke down, where it was like no man in the house, that created the system of people not getting married, because they're like, if you get married, you can't get help. And
That's
so
interesting.
a lot of the reasons why the family kind of broke down back in the day, their father was pressing that guy out, like, you're gonna marry
You're
my
gonna marry
daughter.
my daughter. That's what I'm
But
talking about.
when the father was removed from the home, there's no pressure.
Right. Because mom was saying to
Yeah,
to
yeah. You
you
do
know,
what you
mama's
need to do.
boy,
So
you don't need to marry
you don't
her.
need to marry
You
her. You don't have to do that. And also telling her daughter, you don't have to marry him. You're young. Figure out what you want to do. You can go down here, get assistance, get help. So that whole dynamic
very
has
true.
really broken the family. And I mean, even that story that you shared about your own son, there were many men back in the day who had families all over and was taking care of all of them. Your main family up the street, your family down the street. But you heard it wasn't even a Rolling Stone situation, because men were men. They took care. This idea of black men not taking care of their family is something new to our community, because black men had pride in taking care of their family and their wives and their
And
children.
people make too many excuses for us. I'm gonna be honest. I see it in my own life daily. Like, if I let my mother, she would make excuses for me until the day I die. But I don't let it. You know what I mean? I can't let that happen. Because that's a crutch. It's enabling. You know what I mean? And she can't help it. She loves me, and she wants the best, and she thinks she's doing. But it's like, at the end of the day, how much are you really helping me? And so, you got to put that on, with any situation. Like, how much are you really helping that person?
Ricardo,
by
that's
doing
a topic.
Yeah, because that
Seriously.
sounds
That's
like
a topic.
I'm just, like that. But, like I said, that's crazy.
But that's why you need that balance, like you
You
said.
need that balance.
Because the mother, that's really that's her role. She's a nurturer.
Absolutely.
She's supposed to,
Right.
hey, you fall down, oh baby,
Right.
kiss you. And
Right.
your father's just like, toughen up, boy, you got it.
Yeah.
So that's the balance. And that's why a lot of our children aren't balanced, because they're missing that piece.
Yeah.
And so maybe some of these pregnancies or these incidents of the revenge sometimes is not even about the baby. It's about, I want that feeling that I had with that man, because I'm lacking this love that I'm missing from maybe not having that love from a father or whatever. And so you taking this away from me in the form of, oh, this was just sex and now we have this baby and I don't want nothing to do with you.
Right.
This is when the women start getting angry,
Bitter.
bitter.
And you can be that way. I mean, there were many times where my family members would tell me, when I'm struggling and I'm borrowing $20 for gas money. I mean, of course, you want to look at me and say, you don't even have child support, and you're asking $20 for gas so you can get back and forth to work. Where is that man at? You know what I mean? That you was laying down with, and y'all was all madly in love and everything. Like, where is he at? And I get that from family members. But I mean, I chose the route that I chose because I wanted peace, and it was easier. And because of what you said earlier, me personally, I don't want to ever bring the black man to a courtroom, because they see it and they're afraid of it even if they don't see it. It's always in the back of their minds. And
It's funny because I always think like when the police like get behind me, and it's like I'm programmed to to be nervous, to be afraid when the police get behind me. Like, there's no reason. Like, if I'm riding and my license and everything is good and there's no dead bodies in the trunk and things like that, and police pull me over, get behind me, not even pull me over, just get behind me.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, shit, police behind me. I just get uneasy, and that's a part of, speaks to what you just said. Like, being in that courtroom is like, yeah.
But then it's like he said
part of
before, it needs to be a responsibility on whomever.
Mhm.
Like I think if I'm in a situation where I don't even have $20 to get gas, you need to be feeling that. I'm really above approach with that. You need to, because I'm riding around your kid. So if I'm walking, that means your child is walking.
Mhm.
And to me, I think a lot of the reasons why we don't have people stepping up is because they're not brought to the table. You need to have the expectation that if I'm putting in 150% of my kid, and if you're not willing to do that, then you need to at least be having some sort of consequences, because there are consequences in life. And it's far beyond money, because you not being in your child's life is going to be a consequence later on you anyway.
Mm-hmm.
That has nothing to do with money. But just to say, hey, I don't want to, he should be thinking that. I don't want to be in the court. So let me make sure that I'm doing everything that I need to do to be a good parent. But I do feel like men, and I could be biased, I'm not a man, but sometimes I feel like men get comfortable in whatever situation they're in at the time.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, if you got a kid down the block, even if these are not your children, these are your step kids, and you are married to this woman, you start getting so involved sometimes with where you're at.
Out of sight, out of mind. Out of sight, out of mind.
Right. That I don't think that they're necessarily out of sight, but because men deal with things differently, maybe they just don't focus on it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So
It
like,
could be
you got a
hard.
family and then you got a kid somewhere else, and you kind of not as
If you're
attentive
not,
to that kid.
if you're not necessarily attentive, but if let's say the mother, like you said, I'm gonna go hard to go to see mine, and she keeps rejecting you
Mhm.
and saying no, you're not gonna see them, or no. A man could get fatigued and
You
just
defeated. You
deal
can get defeated.
with what he's dealing with. And I mean, I hear that a lot.
Yeah, it's like, I'm just tired.
I'm just tired, and I'm developing a relationship with these children. They're not my blood children, but they're my children, and they start just to kind of invest in that family.
Mhm.
You touched
that
on a
child
really good
is
point when you
lost.
said, so how, and this is a question, how does a man actually move on with, because when you said, if I need to fill my tank to get where I need to go, and I have your child in the back seat, you're going to give me gas money so that, because I have your child in the back seat. So that, just coming from that statement, how does a man, if he's building a life with someone else, or if he is, married and trying to be the head of his household and trying to provide for his current household, is it fair for him to try to provide for two households
Yes.
just because he has?
Yes,
Now,
that's his responsibility. Because when you have multiple children, you need to be you're responsible for both families. It's just like even in the motherland, in the continent right now, men have multiple wives, and it's their duty to take care of all of their families. So regardless, if you are building a new situation and have a family, it is still your responsibility as the man. That's why you're the man. That's why you're the head. And you need to hustle. And to me, I feel like you need to be working harder than me. If I'm taking care of your children, you as the man are responsible. It's no getting out of it. You are responsible for the situation that you're in now, and you're responsible for the situation that you had before. You just don't walk away and say, oh, this doesn't exist to me anymore. If that's your child, that is still your responsibility.
But you know what I hear from the black men all the time? Because I have dated men who have children and they go through this, this whole like, oh, I gotta do this, or I gotta do this, and I don't have no money to do this, or how am I gonna make ends meet, that kind of thing, and the question that I'm presenting to you is, why can't the man have a child?
Why can't the man have a child?
If the man has a child, black men do this
Oh,
all
you
the
can
time.
have a child,
See,
but
no,
do
I'm
they
saying
want the
if they
child?
have- right.
That's
Right.
the question.
But-
Do you want the child? Because then you can't have a thriving dating life. Then you wouldn't be able to really build with anybody else.
But is that the reason why they don't get
their
their children? Or is the reason why, because what I hear from black men is, I would never take my child from their mother. She's a good woman. She's a good mother.
Yeah, I
But why don't we have that same kind of
You probably
sensitivity to
gotta-
the man?
He probably got a mixture of like, you know.
sensitive? No. Wait a
Yeah,
minute.
yeah, let's do it. Let's go there. Why don't we have that type of sensitivity?
Okay. The Bible says, work with your hands and mind your business. So to me, you need to be, if you have 5 children, you need to be having 5 jobs. If you have 3 children over here on this side of the other side of town and 2 children over here on this side of town, you need to be having 6 ways of making ends meet. And I don't want to hear no excuses about, oh, I'm broke, I can't. That is your responsibility. I have 3 children, I have 3 jobs. I have 3 jobs. I have a full-time job. I have 2 of my own businesses. It's no way that if anything that my children need or want or desire, I'm gonna make sure that happens. And that's the same responsibility that that man has. And it's no excuses. And that's the issue. It's all of these excuses for people. It's no excuse.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm broke. That's not my problem.
Right. It's
That is
definitely
not your
excuses.
problem.
Definitely excuses.
Yeah, baby,
and
I
I
mean-
agree. I agree with that because I feel like as a man, you are the provider. You know, this is what you are, regardless of what you know. This is what God made you. This is how you are.
Right.
This is why you do the things that you do. How you do them, right? So, if you have a relationship, and whether or not you are loving that person, y'all was in a loving relationship, or it was just a one night stand and baby came out of it, you made the decision to do that. So a baby came out of it, so now the baby is born, so you can't just, because you got another family now as well, like you gotta figure it out, you gotta grind, you know what I'm saying? Now it's time for the providing you to really step up, because you in a situation that is unique to you at this point, you know what I'm saying? You got a family over here, you got your child over here, and he's with mom and his brothers and sisters that from whoever different fathers, if that's the situation.
Okay, I hear
And
you guys.
You know what I'm saying?
But you knew this man was broke when you laid down with him, but it was all fine and dandy.
Well, I don't lay down with broke men.
Okay. You knew
That's
this
the thing I
man.
don't
You knew
do.
this man could only go but so far in his pocket when you laid down with him. Is it fair to have a child and then the relationship is over, and to want to bleed, to want to take something from him that he
I mean, in the same
didn't have
token, is it fair
to begin with?
is it fair for the mother to carry that burden on herself, you know, by herself? Like, you know, just because, like, if you broke and I'm broke, because most of the time, if a woman that's broke, like she just now said, she ain't gonna lay down with no broke dude, right? So if a dude that's broke getting laid down with, 9 out of 10 the girl's broke as well. You feel me? So they both broke. So how can you feel like, you know, you safe from this child support and take care of the kid because you broke, but I'm broke too and I'm struggling as well. So like, what the hell? Like, what we gonna do? Like, we you know, let's somebody got to man up.
Right.
And as a man, you need to man up. I just feel like, you know what, I just hate for you to,
I
if you're in
agree.
that situation.
I agree.
I pray for you and, you know, whatever, but that's a bad situation to be in. But at the end of the day,
And to me, I don't care if you're broke, if you're not, if you gotta still do whatever you need to do to take care of your children, because that's your job as the man. You are the provider, you are the head, you are the hunter, so you need to do whatever you need to do to take care of your offspring. And I don't really, I mean, if you have to live in a car, whatever you need to do.
See, you know, this guy.
and when it's split, the funny thing about it is because you could be in a situation where, you know, like the man is some kind of way then finessed his way into a situation, and this lady got a lot of money, she taking care of, he got kids, they married, she taking care of everything, he don't really got to do that. That relationship though is going to be off. You know, it's going to be something up with it. You know what I'm saying? Like either she got somebody off on the side and she really, cause she wanted, a woman does not want to be the
Take
man.
care of a man.
They don't want
Say
to
it
be the
again.
man. You know, as much as, you know, we have, you know, cause I feel like, I'm not going to just get into this, but I feel like feminism is definitely a Caucasian woman struggle. You know what I'm saying? Because I feel like black women, and we deal with the same things. We really do. Like we honestly do, and then like it's like I feel like it's another tool to drive a wedge in between the black man and the black woman. You know, because you got some people that just rah and they like throw you all the way off, and the man's like, oh, I can't. But the woman does not want to be the man in a situation. Like she wants to be. She want to be. Hey, babe, you know what I'm saying? She don't want to feel like I'm taking care of this Negro. She don't want to feel like that. So.
And I just feel like I don't know a lot. I run across a lot of good black fathers. Like I see more good black fathers than I ever see like deadbeat dads. And then when I don't know no deadbeat dads. I just really see good fathers, and I know they're out here. But I'm saying I think that it's viewed more as all of these deadbeat dads versus all of these really good dads. I mean, I've seen dads whose the mother don't want them in their child's life, and they go to the school every day to see their kid, or they go over to their house every day and drop off money and see them however they can see them. So you hear all of these stories about these dads just are terrible fathers, and I see good black fathers all of the time. But I do think as black women, you cannot make excuses for grown adult men, especially if you're raising a boy, because you need to let him know that it's a responsibility. If you lay down, broke or not, you need to, if you get this girl pregnant and she decides to do whatever she wants to do for her body and keeps it, you are now responsible for someone else, and that includes financially.
Absolutely.
And you don't get off the hook for that. You just don't. You don't.
I just feel like we're throwing a lot of food in the man's mouth with that. Because you just said, because we had a show about this, about abortion, and it's the woman's decision. And why does the man say, so what are you going to do? It's your decision because it's her body. And then she chooses to have a baby, and now she's in his pocket. He has a responsibility because
she should be. If a man feels that way, he needs to be abstinent. He does not need.
And that's what I was gonna say. Like on some real stuff. Like we're gonna talk about. We're gonna be honest and we be real. Like and we're gonna say like talk about the Bible and everything that goes along with it. You ain't even supposed to be having sex.
Don't be having sex.
So if you're not even supposed to be having, this is what I honestly feel like. Just being 34 years old, I just been through a lot and seeing a lot. I just feel like once you do certain things, like if you having sex, if God say you're not supposed to do it, even though this is a society and this is the norm, it's like whatever, like what
sex without marriage.
It's the norm, right? But if you do that, then whatever comes with it, comes with it.
Okay, so I'm glad you brought up the Bible, and both of you brought it up, and I wasn't going to bring up this point because I know the Bible really well. So I'm going to bring up a story in the Bible that I think relates. There's nothing new under the sun. What we're experiencing today in the millennium, in the 2019 day and age, it can be related to the Word of God. Because Abraham and Sarah, God told Abraham that he was going to have a child. They were old and up in age. They didn't know how it was going to happen. It was Sarah that said, sleep with my maidservant. That wasn't God that said sleep. That was Sarah.
Right.
Maybe that's what he means.
Right.
So, maidservant has a baby. What happens in this story is you can relate it to what's happening today. So we can say that Abraham was out of order because God didn't tell him to sleep with a maidservant. It was his wife that told him to do that. But in time, that maidservant, because Sarah didn't have a child, Abraham and Sarah were married, and God blesses the union of a marriage. He blesses it. So this maidservant had a child in the camp, and she was causing problems because Sarah didn't have a child. And Sarah was getting bitter and upset, and she kept saying, Abraham loved his son. It was his only son at the time. And Sarah said, your maidservant is causing problems. I am your wife. And she felt like, well, I have his son. I have his child. And how is that relating to today's times? When a man moves on with a woman and he has children by another woman and she's like, oh no, you're gonna come get them. Oh no, you're gonna come. I need, I need this, I need that. And the woman's in the life saying, I'm your woman, like I'm your wife.
Right.
And he's being pulled here because he has a child, but the child was born out of wedlock.
But that's what. But
tough.
she didn't.
That's right.
They weren't obedient. That was really the lesson. When you're not obedient, then you have to deal
But
with whatever the
what were the
repercussions of
instructions
it.
that God gave Abraham?
Right to sleep with his wife.
No, what were the instructions that God gave Abraham in reference to that child and that woman in the camp?
What was it?
He said, send them off into the desert. God says, I'm a father to the fatherless. That's why when that man chose to walk away from me and my son, even though he knew his responsibility, that's why I told my son, God is your father. Would you rather God, who's unlimitedless power, be your father, or a man who's limited? He's a father to the fatherless. Abraham went to God crying, saying that my wife does not want this woman in this camp. What do I do, Lord? And the Lord said, send them off into the desert. Listen to your wife, because that wasn't my will for you anyway. So when we as a society put these responsibilities on the men who were sleeping in sin with someone and had a child with them, and then we say, oh no, you're responsible. And they're saying, Lord, forgive me, I'm sorry, cleanse me, wash me, help me. And God is saying, in the Word of God, that's why I relate it to today, and that's how I hear it when I read this story. God is saying, I will take care of that child. I'm a father to the fatherless. That wasn't my will for you. That was something you did on your own. Put me in your life, let me do it, and I'll straighten it out.
Well, are these fathers that are here today asking for forgiveness? I mean, that is up for interpretation. We don't know they're saying, Lord, please forgive me, or hey, I'm not taking care of a child.
But the bigger picture, I see what you're saying. Like I understand.
God's
it's like,
going to have your back regardless.
Well, yeah and no,
still,
because like if you're not doing what you're supposed to do as far as God go, like people get that twisted. Like a lot of people, like I don't want to go into this. Is like
right.
Gonna take us somewhere else.
I'm not that woman. I want you to take care of your children. I want you to go see your child. If you say you love me and we're married, I have no reason to feel insecure about you going to take care of your family. And a lot of times women and people try to dictate relationships that have nothing to do with them. And I hear women all the time, my friends, oh, he's paying child support. I'm going to pay child support because I'm going to make sure she's not getting any extra. Or I'm going to go talk to his baby mother because I want to know what they're... You're inserting yourself and causing drama and tension and also making a child who maybe not be a part of this relationship uncomfortable, insecure, not valued because you're insecure about the relationship.
You're speaking about a circumstance or a situation that is definitely out there and is true. I'm speaking about in reference to the outside parent, the baby mama who is causing problems in the marriage and in the household. I'm not saying that a man shouldn't take care of his child. I'm not saying that. I'm saying that by the example that I used about Sarah, there was one thing that the Word of God did say in there. She was causing problems in the camp. She got high. She got high and her ego was high because she had a child by Abraham.
But I think it's the man that dictates that, the vibe of that. Because I feel like some men like the drama. They enjoy the drama of the baby mother and the mother and the wife and the new. They like it. They kind of get off on the drama.
We're running out of time, and we could talk about this. This subject is just something that we could talk about forever, and we definitely enjoy you watching us. Again, tune in for the next show topics, and thank you, Ricardo, for being a part of us today. We really appreciate that. Yay, Ricardo. So I'm your host, Valencia. This is the show Topics. And please check out Torture on wattsproduction.com.
Torture.
Oh, yeah. Nah, nigga, I'm good. Trying to quit for real. You trying to quit? Oh, so I see you trying to get a job, huh?
Yeah, nigga. Look, check this out. We been doing this street shit since we was what, 15? Where we at with it?
Yeah.
I do 3 years out Jessup. Missed my little man being born. Shit, we both been shot at. I'm surprised we ain't dead already. Look, I'm just trying to take care of my son and my girl. And I'm helping my little sister and my nephew because they down and out and everything on me.
I feel you, my nigga. But you got records. Ain't nobody gonna hire you. I don't know why you keep wasting your time with this shit. Al put us in a position to take over. You're not seeing the big picture. You got enough money to take care of everybody.
Hey, you make it sound so sweet. All I'm saying is, I can't afford to get locked up again. I'm just trying to make grown man decisions. I ain't getting no younger, my nigga. We ain't getting no younger.